This scene contains one of the few things that, or rather doesn't contain one of the few things that I was a little sorry to lose, which there was an exchange between Tony and Steve, very short one, about Howard Stark, Tony's father, who was established as a friend of Steve's in the first Cap movie. Ultimately, we had one throwaway line on the carrier, and it was probably what I had written was probably a little harsh. I still maintained that Tony's got some father issues. I know that he found out his father loved him in the second film, but I couldn't help but think that when you're in your 40s, it doesn't count. It really has to happen when you're little. Otherwise, you're still twisted. And speaking of entrances, we weren't, but now we are. There are some things that you gotta do, and people may question the logic of them. Nobody ever questioned the logic of Thor landing on top of the Quinjet. They did say how, with the Bifrost gone, did he get to Earth? But nobody said, how did he find the Quinjet? Everybody said, oh, he's going to fly through the air and land on top of the Quinjet? Good idea, because look at him. He's Chris Hemsworth. He's just Thor. And because he comes so late in the film, he's the last man in. I wanted to make sure that his entrance was as dramatic as possible.
I'd sit this one out, Cap.
I don't see how I can.
These guys.
Some people were also surprised about Cap's line here, me being an avowed atheist. But I may be, but Steve Rogers isn't, and I definitely think his reaction to this new world feels very real. Weta created the landscape surrounding these guys. We had an interior. I was adamant that we were going to shoot outside on an actual mountaintop, but to find one, well, that looks as cool as this, and to shoot on it in what would be enormous winds, because when you stand on top of a mountain, there's a lot of wind, that was naive on my part, because I did not want to dub these guys. And because this is a very intimate scene, however much grandeur there may be in the setting, it is just two brothers. First time Hemsworth and I sat down to talk about this, we laughed and laughed. And then when we were done with that, he said, I'd like to not have the father issues, if that's all very well with you. I've done that. I'm interested in, the brother stuff.
Recompense for your imagined slights. No.
And his relationship with both Loki and with Tom is so much fun. They're very different in the way that they work, the way they come at a scene, and yet they complement each other enormously. There was a great moment here where Tom started one of his lines. I remember a shadow growing up in the shade of your great... Oh, sorry. No, wait. I caught myself acting. Can we go again? Just one of my favorite moments. Tom will always try to be his own bullshit meter because, again, he's got to be so big that he's got to make sure it doesn't go too far.
Who controls the would-be king? I am a king, not here!
These guys who are so different work on exactly the same level. And that's, a triumph for both of them.
Come home.
I tried for a long time to get another villain into this film because I thought, Loki can't possibly carry us through the entire thing himself. And, more fool me, because he does, both with power and wit. All right, that was a cheap joke, okay? I admit it.